Hi, I'm Paul Sexton, and I'm going to be playing some 5 and 10 limit stud on full tilt poker today. Well, this hand right here, I have ace king 10, which is not a very good hand in the fact that I don't have a pair and they're not really suited, but with these guys having 2 queens out and 2 jacks out, it makes it more unlikely they have a pair. And I have overcards against everybody. None of my cards are out. My ace and my king and my 10 are all live, so I'm going to raise here. And it shows because the 2 jacks folded, the queen calls, and the low card will probably fold. And I'm going to take the lead to start out here. Well, I was going to. He hit open queens, and that's the end of the hand. But had it been anything else, had I caught that deuce of clubs, which was a matching card, and he caught like a 5 or something off, then I would have been betting as if I'd taken off with kings. And basically probably won it in Fifth Street. But he hit it at queen, so. This would be a much better hand than stud 8 or better. This would be one of the top hands you could have in 8 or better. 6, 3, 5. 3 cards, 2 a straight, under an 8, all in the same suit. And since there's 2 hearts out and the guy raised, I'm going to go ahead and let go. Man of Glass is, this guy and Stabbert, or I don't know how you say his name, but I play with him a little bit more often than the other guys. He was representing jacks, but I don't know if he'd have it or not. He plays a lot of off-the-wall hands. This is another thing where I'll be representing kings. It's a little bit more misdirection with 6, 5 of hearts in the hole, but for anybody watching, I'm taking off with kings. Just go ahead and scoop it. Representation is good at the beginning, but when they keep calling you, say if you take off with kings, or take off with a king representing kings, and say but you actually took off with king 10, 5 of spades. Well, if a guy calls you with a jack, and then on the turn you guys both catch nothing, you bet he calls again. Then on Fifth Street you got to make your decision. You have nothing. Say on Fifth Street you catch nothing again, you got to make a decision. Are you going to continue to represent these kings that you don't have? And the guy's obviously calling you. He doesn't believe you have. He doesn't believe. He's probably got jacks. He doesn't believe you have it. You got to make a decision. You're probably going to have to check and fold on Fifth Street. But you know, a lot of times if you bet out again in Fifth Street with a little bit more gall, a little bit more bravery, the guy will say even if he had jacks, he'll throw it away, thinking he would not have bet Fifth Street if he didn't actually have the kings. So Fifth Street is where representation really makes a big deal, as to whether or not you're going to go on with a hand or if you're going to quit right then and there, basically give it up. I mean, Fifth Street is what everybody says is the make or break point in a hand. My dad always taught me that Fifth Street was when you made your decision if you're going to play the hand, because if you play Fifth Street, 6th and 7th Street, you're in there to the end. So I mean, my dad taught me how to play, and he taught me that Fifth Street is the biggest street, and it's worked all right so far. I was going to say real quickly about this hand here is, I mean, you got ace queen to start in the hole, and it looks kind of inviting to a more of an amateur player. But I mean, the first thing you see is there's a queen in your left, and you're really starting out with nothing. It's one of those things when they talk about marginal hands. You know, people are worried about the first thing you can give an amateur as far as giving him a tip is you just don't play the marginal hands, and that's not even a marginal hand. That's below a marginal hand, but it looks good at first because you start with ace queen 8. No aces and 8s out, but there's a queen behind you, and you have nothing. Those are just the hands that you got to be able to, when you're first starting playing, just don't touch those hands. You start out with premium hands if you're just starting as an amateur, for sure. When you're looking for a hand to play, as far as what your starting hand has to be, the qualities of a starting hand, most times it's pairs, big pairs, obviously. And when you get 3 cards, those come along a lot more often than they do in Hold'em. Hold'em, it's very... You know, they're few and far between you when you get big pairs. You always want to play them. But in stud, you get 3 cards to start off with. So they come along a lot more often than you think. And then after that, you know, it depends on what your opponent's up cards are. If they have like 3s and 4s and 7s, and you have king, queen, jack, well, that's a lot better hand than if you have king, queen, jack, and there's 2 aces, a king, and a queen out. Well, then your hand's kind of dead, and the guys with aces might have, you know, even if you had a starting hand, you're crushed. So it depends a lot on what your opponent's up cards are. Well, this hand here will get you in trouble because there's an ace of diamonds and a 10 of diamonds out, and there was a heart out right here. I don't know what this guy had, but now I got ace 10 6, which is not bad starting, but the fact that the ace and the 10 out are kind of ugly. I wouldn't call a raise with this hand, but I'll go ahead and limp in. And I caught nothing. one of the I'd like to show you a cool little trick real quick here if I can. If you like, when I miss that guy's up card, this electric fence. Well, now I made open sixes, so I'm probably gonna steal the pot right here.
Go ahead and keep that. Let's start over with that whole phrase again. Say I'm gonna show you a pretty neat trick right here. Okay.
Well, I'm probably gonna win this hand here, so I'll show you the next game.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let's see. I made open sixes there, and I was representing like one of those things where you represent. I represent that I started off with limped in with 2 sixes, caught a 6 in Fifth Street, and bet out. He's not buying it, so I'm gonna go ahead and check it now. And I'm probably gonna have to give this away. I just don't see any way I can win this hand. So, but anyway, what I was saying about a neat little trick I like to show is that when you're playing stud, one of the things is missing up cards. You miss up cards all the time when you're playing live or even in this. But if you open up this window and you go to options, if you move this to everything, you can actually see what everybody's up cards were. Which a lot of times if I'm playing a bigger game, like it shows you right here, it shows your hand right here, but it shows you what everybody else's up cards are. Most people keep this off, that way you can actually see people talking to the table, and you can, it gets to be a pain seeing all this stuff all the time. You can't ever keep track of what people are saying. But if you're playing in a higher game, and you want to make sure you have everybody's up cards, not only do you have your up cards for this round, but you can go back and see what they had, for like for if you're on 6th Street, you can see what everybody had in 4th Street and 5th Street. You just scroll up a little bit. And it shows you what everybody had every hand. A lot of people don't even know about that. Perry Freeman was the one that taught me about that. I was kind of giggling with him. But when you're playing a little lower level game, it doesn't matter quite as much. So, but that's what I would have used. I would have used that on any hand I play, and I look back and say, I missed these guys' up cards. The up cards are important things, especially when you have pairs. If you say if you have 2 sixes, if your 6 is out, your hand is really nowhere near as strong as it was before that. Hey. Now we got a starting hand we can play. And this is one of the better starting hands to have, is because your hand is concealed. It's when I talk about you can't really conceal your hand and there's so much information, this is one of the few times it's nice to have a concealed hand here. You start off with a low card and 2 kings. And the fact that they're paired, the king, that your kicker is the same suit as one of your kings makes it even a little bit better. Now, if I was playing a higher limit game, anything from 20, 40 or higher, I would play it a little slower, and I would probably raise in 5th Street. But playing 5 and 10 and lower, basically you play it like if you had split kings. You just keep raising. You play it like if you had 3 kings. It doesn't matter, because they're going to call you anyway at these limits. Like this guy re-raised with a 3, Jack came in. That would never happen at a higher limit. I don't really like this guy catching an ace, but I was hoping he would raise and push that guy out, because I'm pretty sure I have this guy beat. And now 5th Street does not look even better, because this guy makes 3 open spades on you. The only good thing about that is you look at your own hand, you look at this guy's hand. First thing that you notice is your kings are still not out, so you still have a good shot at hitting kings. And I have a 10-6 of spades, and he has an ace of spades, so there are some spades out. And if I wanted to look back using the little trick I just did before, I could see however many spades were still out. I'm going to go ahead and bet into this. That might not be the best play, but I still haven't improved. But it doesn't. That 6th Street did not help anybody. The 8 of diamonds, the 9 of diamonds, that definitely didn't help either of their hands. Had anything been close to pairing up or matching with their hands, I'd check here. I'm going to go ahead and bet it again anyway. We need to make 2 pair. And we didn't. The guy bets out. That's cute. Well, this is one of the things I know my dad has talked about, this is calling on the river with just 1 pair. A lot of times you want to throw this away, and even though you feel like you're beat all the time, it's one bet, and there's $124 in there. It's only $10 more. And you're getting like 12 to 1 on your money, and 13 to 1. If it was heads up, I would have called 100%. Guy took off with jacks and made 3 jacks on the river. That's nice. Let's see what the guy made before me. The guy took off. He had the same hand I had. He had 2 queens. The guy first raised with jacks. I re-raised with or he limped in with jacks. I made it. I've completed the bet with kings. He re-raised it with queens. That's one of the things about having that concealed hand. If I had split kings, he would never have re-raised because he knew I would be representing kings. But since my kings were concealed, he went ahead and re-raised it, and this guy terribly came in with 2 jacks. He came in with us. He was beat behind by both of us. And he followed the whole way. He beat the whole way all up into the river. The guy actually did make queens and nines on the river. And the guy made 3 jacks. And then he went ahead and bet out, which I probably would have done it. I would have done that too, but... And I was sitting there with my lovely kings. 3-card stud. I love it. This hand is not quite as concealed as my previous hand because I have a 10 up. So even though I'm raising here, it's still going to be concealed because I'm representing 10s. And my hand's a little bit stronger, but not that much stronger. The only thing that would have made a difference if somebody had a jack out. But I'm back playing against Pirate again. Now, this is the only problem I don't like about this is it's with a 10 queen. My hand looks very strong, and I might not get a call here. But I've just made 3 queens there, and he raised me. Oh, he's going to get re-raised on the turn here. With him raising there, I'm almost sure he's going to raise. He's going to bet out here. I'm going to raise him, and then after that, he'll probably check call on 6 and 7 and pass me the pot. He check raised me. Oh, that's cute. He made 2 nines here, which when he raised with the 10, when he raised me on 4th Street with the 10, he's representing either a pair or somewhere like an open end straight, something kind of freaky like that. What he didn't know is that even if he did make 3 nines here, I have 3 queens. And the only thing that can beat me right now is if he made 10s and 9s on the turn, which he would have bet out in 5th Street. So I know he does not have 10s and 9s. He's definitely behind, even if he has 3 nines now. And on top of that, I hit that Jack of Spades, which is a really good-looking card. It makes it look straighty and flushy and stuff like that. That hand turned out very nice for me just on the fact that he stayed in the hand. Because with Queen 10 of Spades, that's such a strong starting hand anyway. When I raised before the flop, I don't know why he raised on the turn, to be honest. And I'm beat. No, one of the few things you see sometimes when you're playing these low limits, these guys just have no shot, just a prayer, and he just raises there with a prayer like there's any chance in the whole world I would not have called there. I'll show that hand real quick. On the river, that he took off with 4, 6, 9 of hearts. They shuffled it, but he had 4, 6, 9 of hearts to start the hand. He caught a 10 of clubs on the turn, and he raised when I bet out with Queen 10 of Spades. I have no idea why. I guess he was representing a straight or something like that. He was representing a straight, knew it wasn't spades. Well, yeah, he was right about that. But, on 5th Street, I checked, he checked back, he got a free card there. That was actually a good play by him. And then on 6th Street, he caught an open 9. He bet out, thinking, representing 3 nines. I had him beat anyway. The river play, though, with him checking and then me betting, and he knew he had no chance to win, he decided to raise, which is just phenomenal. You get that sometimes playing low limit, I guess. And he just gave away an extra 10. He gave away an extra $20. He should never have called there. But this hand, I limped in with 2 6s, 2 split 6s with a 10. And when you take off with 2 split 6s, if your 6 doesn't come out on the turn, if they bet, you're calling. You're going to see it till 5th Street because it's just half a bet, which I did, and I've caught an ace and a 5 now. My hand has done nothing, has not improved. And the guy's still representing 10 and queen. Now, based on the guy's previous play, I might go further with this, but I'm still going to let this one go. The guy behind him, the guy just sat in, name is RSB13. I've played with him for quite a while now. He's not a bad player. Okay, I was low here with 2 deuces, and I have an ace, but there's an ace out. Now, it's the same guy raising again, so I have some serious doubts about his ability to play. And, but he raised it. I'm going to call just because I'm just completing the bet with the 2 deuces anyway. Now I have an ugly looking hand here, but I have Deuce-8 of diamonds. The guy has a very strong showing hand. It's almost giving away $5 here, but it's like I said, it's half a bet. If you snap off a deuce, you're going to get paid off big. Now he catches ace, king, queen. This is where your decision time and decision is to let it go. Almost always on Fifth Street. But he has seen a lot of hands, I'll say that. Now, this is another one of those hands, like 10-3, 5 of clubs. It's not beautiful, but it is a playable hand. But it's one of those things, you look around at the people's up cards. Ace, clubs, and there's 2 clubs out. And, I mean, if this guy limps, I'll probably limp in, because I might see that for only $1.50. But if somebody raised, I would never call a raise there. Go ahead and let it go now. Ace, raise, go ahead and let it go. All right, this is the hand that we played a couple hands ago with the same guy, Pirate, too late. I love the name sometimes. But he limped in with jacks, which I'm not really sure why he did that. Either he limped in with jacks or he made 3 jacks. Or he limped in with rolled up. But the way he played it, I just can't imagine he was rolled up. What happens, he limped in with jacks. I raised it with 2 buried kings, concealed kings. And the guy with another 3-up, I had a 3-up, this guy had a 3-up, he raised it, he double raised it with 2 queens. Like I was saying before, had I had split kings, he would never have done that. But since my hand was concealed and his hand was concealed, he thought he had the best hand to start with. He makes it 10. The guy with the 2 jacks here has got to know, if he is any player at all, he's got to know that we have bigger hands, especially than his jack. And the fact that he calls on third street, just on the opening hand. I'll go ahead and play this hand and made open 4s here. Almost always, if you make an open pair in 4, you just bet out the full bet. A lot of times you'll scoop it. But going back to that hand, when he calls with the 2 jacks, that's a mistake. I don't think he should have. 2 split jacks there. You got to know, especially with me, and I'm a tight player, in my opinion. If he's got jacks there, if I can't beat kings, I'm not raising it. If I can't beat his jacks, I would not be raising it with a 3-up. I just don't imagine where I would do that. And him re-raising it, this guy should have folded his jacks. Now, from that point, when he does call, he calls with the ace. He hits an ace on the turn. Does not improve his hand. He catches a 7 of spades. I bet out. He calls. Actually, I'm sorry. In third street, I went ahead and re-raised it again, and this guy called, and he called again. He came for another bet. And then on the turn, he checks with the ace-jack. I bet, it plays out. Nobody ever improves. And he just calls in Fifth Street. In Fifth Street, he definitely should not have called because I'm still representing that I can beat his jacks the whole way. In Fifth Street, this guy made 3 open spades. And now he's sitting there with his jacks. He's got to be thinking, what can I beat? And the answer was, at the time, nothing. He could not beat anything. Sixth Street, nobody improved. And then on the river, he gets a miracle. He makes 3 open jacks. The one thing he did do right there was he just went ahead and bet out. A lot of times people try to check raise there. And a lot of times if you check raise there, you're gonna get re-raised if somebody can beat your 3 jacks, which is not that unlikely in this particular case because the guy has 3 open spades. He bets out. I called with the worst hand, and the other guy called with queens and 9s. And he does scoop the pot. Now he's probably thinking to himself, "Boy, I played that one wonderfully just because he won it." But if you look back at the hand, he misplayed it on 3 different occasions. The pot is pretty big at that point, which that's one of the reasons you definitely see Fifth Street when you're on 4th Street and he hadn't improved, nobody improved. The problem was the guy made 3 open spades. The guy who he'd already raised once with 3 open spades, and I re-raised him on 3rd Street. So our hands are incredibly strong at that point, or at least representing to be strong. Now when he makes 3 open spades and he checks, and I bet into the 3 open spades. You just got to be thinking to yourself, what can I be beating? And even if he makes 3 jacks there, which is the only way he can improve his hand is if he makes 3 jacks, he still could be beat. So even with the bigger pot out there you were just not getting the right kind of equity to play that hand any further. And jacks are just one of those hands where they look good because they're 2 face cards, and meanwhile they're about the same thing as 10s or 9s, and people don't play them as far as just because they got that big happy face card out there that they think they got a good hand. I never ever play with my avatar. This is the only picture that's even worth showing. The other pictures are so awful. They'll type on there all the time, "Hey, show us your other faces." No, sorry. I'm using Racetrack. I can't do it right now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and raise here. This is not the best particular play, but this is your kicker is a big part of your hand here. The fact that I have an ace makes his hand much stronger, because it makes it, if I had a 6 or an ace, I'm almost for sure to win the hand. Now, the guy has a king here. There was a king out, I'm pretty sure. So I don't really like it as much, but that's the reason I raised it, because I had a good kicker there. 2 sixes, live sixes with an ace. If I had 2 sixes with a 4, I would have just limped in. Now, this is one of those things where you're always going to see Fifth Street here. Now, he's representing kings with a king out, which is not good, but this is one of those things where it's decision time, and I haven't improved all that much. I still have an ace, still have a queen. They're not out, but it's Fifth Street, and it's too expensive for $38 pot to call $10. Guys, thanks for following along. This has been a session of 5 and 10 stud on full tilt. We had a couple good hands, especially against Pirate Too Late, being a very good demonstration guy. And to sum it up, I would say play only premium hands. Do not get caught playing marginal hands, and make the right decision on Fifth Street.